Quest'anno abbiamo creato un nuovo focus che va a integrare la tradizionale struttura dei 3 concorsi del Trieste Film Festival dedicati a lungometraggi, documentari e corti. La nuova sezione si chiama Wild Roses, registe in Europa. Il nome della sezione è stato tratto dal film Wild Roses di una delle registe che vi andiamo a presentare, Anna Jadowska. E si tratta di una nuova vetrina che abbiamo voluto dedicare alle registe dell'Europa centrale e orientale, che hanno sempre avuto tra l'altro un ruolo centrale nel nostro festival. E una sezione che appunto ci permetterà di identificare anno dopo anno un paese diverso al quale dedicare questo focus. Quest'anno non potevamo non dedicare questo focus nuovo alla Polonia. La Polonia è un paese così prolifico dal punto di vista cinematografico, con 5 meravigliose registe che vi andiamo a presentare. Anna Jadowska, Hanna Polak, Agnieszka Smoczyńska, Jagoda Selz e Anna Zamecka. Quindi grazie mille per aver accettato il nostro invito. L'unica a mancare con noi oggi è Agnieszka Smoczyńska, che è impegnata in un nuovo progetto, ma con noi ci sono le altre 4 che ringrazio moltissimo per la loro partecipazione. Oggi il panel sarà moderato da Marina Fabbri, che saluto e ringrazio, una vera esperta di cinema polacco, ma appunto non solo cinema, di Polonia in generale, quindi della cultura polacca, della società polacca, di tutto l'universo che riguarda la Polonia, e quindi chi meglio di lei poteva moderare un panel dedicato appunto alle registe polacche che abbiamo con noi ospiti. Quindi ringrazio tutte le presenti di aver partecipato, di essere qui con noi. Ringrazio in particolar modo Marina, a cui lascio la parola, e grazie, ci rivediamo online. Ricordo che i film delle registe qui presenti sono tutti visibili online su My Movies durante appunto la 32esima edizione del Trieste Film Festival. Grazie.
Grazie Nicoletta, thank you Nicoletta. Non vedo più le altre ragazze. I don't see you anymore. I don't know why. Okay, now I see you. I see you all. Sorry, but I have some problem. Okay. Here I am. Hello, everybody. Hello, Jagoda Selz. Hello, Anna Zamecka. Hello, Anna Polak. Hello, Anna Jadowska. 4 female directors of the 5 invited by the festival are here present today, and they are the young generation. They are very well established, although they are young directors. All of them realized films which won various prizes and have been selected in the most important film festival in the world. They are very well known in Poland too, and they are, as I told before, the young generation. In the present days, female directors and female artists are growing in consideration and in power, let's say, also in Poland, which is a country which always had a special regard to female artists, included cinema, included film. But never in the history of Polish cinema has been so important and has been so powerful the female way of thinking and way of creating the female art as in nowadays in the last few years, as maybe also our guests can witness through their project and films what I'm telling. So I would like to ask all of them to talk about their vision about cinema personally. What does it mean to make film now for their personal life and for their professional life now in this very moment in the world, but especially in Poland. We know that in Polish history and in Polish politics, the last years are very much, how to say, stormed by difficulties and problems and tragic and dramatic events linked to the right-wing government, which is ruling in this very moment in Poland. And women played an important role in making a very strong opposition to what is going on in politics in Poland. So it's impossible to distinguish art and politics in Poland. Always has been like this. Artists in Poland are very much connected with the reality and are very much involved. Even if they are known in the world to be the most mystical, the most spiritual artists and creators in the world, mystical and spirituals are not separated from reality in Polish cinema. And the work of these four female directors also testimony of this. So the first question is for you, what does it mean to make cinema now in this contest, in this political contest, which is going on in Poland and in the world and in your private life? I don't know who wants to start for first. Maybe Anna Jadowska, who is the person the most far away from us, because you are very far away now. Are you?
Good. Okay. Now you can hear me? Okay. So I'm quite far away, but only just for a few days. I will come back to Poland next week. What could I say about the situation? It's really a huge subject, I think, especially nowadays because of our political situation and pandemic situation. So it's really strange, bizarre combination. I think that in Poland we have really dynamic moment. The society is deeply divided. That's why there is a lot of tension even in a small daily situation. But I believe that somewhere at the end there is a drop of hope, and maybe this year we will wake up in a different country, because this, especially women's movement, is really strong and powerful. So I believe the change is coming. Can you hear me?
Yes, maybe Jagoda Schultz, you want to comment. Also personally, I was asking just not a kind of general statement, but personally for you, what does it mean to make cinema now in this contest, in this situation?
I would agree with everything that Anna said, but I would say it's utterly difficult simply because you can, in my opinion, for me, the movement that hesitate the women's rights because our government is taking our rights away, it's really good for us as an artist, and it's also in a way extremely bad, because we are constantly, I'm put it in a context that there are a lot of questions about me as a woman in the film, and I feel that I'm an artist, and then my genitalia or my sex, it is not so important. And in Polish language, there is this difficulty because they say female films, and I do not reckon. I don't know what it is. I hardly understand how can you say that, because it is not so important to recognize if a director was a woman or wasn't, right? And I think we are still really lacking of studies of women as a directors, but not in the context of sex, just us as an artists. And of course, it's still extremely difficult. Our culture is not, let's say, polite for women. And it's still extremely difficult, and men have a position where they can just go and work, and we are in a position where we still, even if it's a little bit, we still first have to prove something to start to work. Of course, some of us are, let's say, better in proving that, and some of us, let's say, have to take a little bit more time, but we are not equal. Yeah. It will take some time. I think our daughters will have a, let's say, slightly easier start, I guess. I think it's, we can talk about it all night.
Yes, of course, but we have not the whole night. So, Anna Zamecka, what do you think about this?
Unmute myself. Oh, sorry. I had to unmute myself, and then I did something wrong, obviously. Yes, I must agree with Jagoda about what she said about female directors and about female art. I absolutely agree with everything that she said. Now I don't see you. Wait a second.
That's fine. I think they're just editing while we are talking. It's okay.
Oh, okay. All right. So weird to talk to yourself, but anyway, I will try. So yeah, I absolutely see that our government is provoking us. So I think it should be, like, on one hand, good for us as artists to be provoked, and also, like, to kind of understand ourselves thanks to that better, because I just, after this protest on the streets of Warsaw ended, I moved out to the forest, and I am, like, still processing of what happened, actually not only in this country, but, like, in the entire world. So I think that, like, in general, I must say that I'm in kind of process, and I don't know in a way what to do anymore, and which direction I should go, and so on. So I thought that if I will escape reality for some time, or not reality, but at least like a big city, it will help me to process it. But it's not that easy. I mean, like, physical distance doesn't change much, unfortunately. So yeah, I feel that not only as a female artist, but as a person who is, like, trying to do something on the field of film. Yeah, maybe I should have some, like, say something, or, like, like, react in some way to what's happening. But still, I must say I don't know, because, like, for the first time in my life, I understood that my basic human rights, somebody's trying to take it away from me. So it's, like, kind of like very new situation, and actually quite disturbing. But I feel that I would like to do something about this experience on a field of film.
Anna Polak.
Okay. First of all, I'm very honored to be in such a wonderful company and at your festival. And I would like to say that, you know, I take it also much more maybe different from a different angle, because I have been seeing too many times war and terror and conflicts, and I am very much worried about the situation, which is all over the world, not just we see the last events of what's happening in the US. I think we have really, we started a new era of a new Cold War, which is actually, I don't know where leading to. And I think that we should not allow our politicians to divide us as society, as people. I mean, we can have differences, we can have discourses, we can fight for rights, for our values, but we should do it peacefully. We should not allow for war and terror and I would say destruction which comes out of it. I've seen too many tears. I have worked on many projects in which I have seen this outcome of lack of respect, kindness, love, peace, etc. As you know, I was also in Afghanistan, I film in Iraq, but even this other people who were left behind on the garbage dump or somewhere else, I think this is the places where the humanity was lost, was forgotten, and we allowed people to sleep in such a darkness of existence. So for me, I feel that especially as a filmmaker, I am also responsible and my voice counts. And if I can add anything to building this peace and kindness and unity of society, I mean, we can have a very divided society in terms of, we can have, this is the basis for democracy, that for everybody there is a home. And we can have a discourse, we can have, I know it's difficult because right now we are very much divided and oftentimes people think, only their right is the right one. But I think we have to find the ways of protesting, but peacefully. We have to find the ways of coming together in many, many levels because people are different. And if we don't want to cause wars, we don't want to come to the position when there is so much atrocities going on. And this is my position because I have seen too much tears. I just cannot handle anymore all those interviews in which you basically come to hopelessness because the war leaves you with such a dark feeling. So maybe I am a little bit more catastrophical, but you can look also at what happens now here in the US, but also what happens in Poland, what happens in many other places. I think we're just lacking basic respect, and I think art still has to transcend. We have to appeal to the universal values, and within this doesn't mean that we have to give up and not fight for our rights, for our basic important things, but I think I really think we should do it somehow, and this is also responsibility of a filmmaker in a way which is respectful and kind, and we shouldn't be divided as society so much. So this is also what is important for me.
Yes, it's true. What you said reflects the anxiety and sadness on what is going on, not only in Poland, of course. I think it's a reflection also of the pandemic situation, which put us, everybody, a little bit in a state of depression. So, but I think we know that making art, it's a way to escape depression in a way, and to create a new world where better things are possible. I want just to ask you, the world knew few names of female directors like Agnieszka Holland, Małgorzata Łazarkiewicz, Małgosia Szumowska. These are a different generation although that some of them, they are still young, but different generation, they began to make cinema a couple of decades ago. And what, if you could say, there is a difference in this new generation of female directors in Poland. A film critic recently wrote that, just underlined that in one of the last sessions of financing of the Polish Film Institute, 5 projects has been selected, and 4 of them were to be realized from women. So I think women are more and more important in film business too. Many producers are women recently, and they have a lot of experience also in producing film in co-production over the world. So I'm asking you if there is a difference between your generation now and the previous generation, or this is a way also to ask you if you can reveal your inspiration, your master. Jagoda Szec, you want to start?
No, I was just listening what you were saying, and I was thinking how to answer that question, because simply, first of all, I would feel too weak, let's say, to somehow to summary up what are the difference. I rather, and I prefer to think about all the women in the business, that they are all very different. And this is something very often, I guess, what is actually taken away from women, that everybody wants to put us in somehow in some kind of a jar and say, oh, this is what the women do. And yes, and I guess this is the main somehow problem. So I wouldn't, I also, I am not a critic to actually to see the difference or to understand them as on such a philosophical level as they are trained to, yes. But I would say perhaps maybe it was a bit stranger to make films few decades ago for women, and that is probably a good question for Agnieszka Holland, how it was. I guess it was utterly difficult, yes. So, but I actually trying to answer your previous question and your question right now to somehow to connect it. I would say it's a very big difficulty if you say that artists as a group should do something, should reply for a political situation, for a statement, should do something. If you start to say that artists should do something on be responsible for something or be a voice of a group, I think they shouldn't. I think artists should do whatever they want, and it should be very different from each other. So this is perhaps maybe to answer your question, is my fantasy about how I wish it would be. I wish it would be that it is impossible to say what is the new wave of women in cinema in Poland or everywhere else, because finally people see how different we are. And the statement "women are" is actually impossible to actually finish, because we are so different. Look at us, we are so different. We even speak differently. So yes, I understand that I didn't somehow reply to your question, but I would leave it there.
No, you perfectly replied. Absolutely, you perfectly replied. And then I want to ask the same to Anna Jadowska, if she feels a difference from the older generation or not.
as Jagoda. Oh no, my mic is mute, so the host should unmute me. It's okay now?
Yes, it's okay now.
Okay, so I would say that quite the same as Jagoda said, but because my journey with filmmaking it was really difficult, and I have impression that I'm starting every project from the same point, from the beginning. Like there's no behind me, there's nothing behind me. So it's really hard to compare. I think it's quite easier to make movies nowadays, but the truth is that me, Jagoda, and 3 other female directors, we made long feature, but made from 5 different short movies. It's called Erotica 2022. We had the same base, the same reality, Poland 2022, and the scripts were written by Polish female writers, and these movies are completely different, but the message, the mood, the atmosphere, it's quite the same. And I think it's a really huge voice and huge, as I said, message from female writers and directors. It was produced by Netflix, and I think, and I hope it will be possible to watch it in Europe soon. So it's really, for me, it was really unusual project because we didn't cooperate so strongly. We were quite independent in our short movies, but whole project it's really strong and meaningful, I think. So that's all from me.
Anna Zamecka.
Yeah, so I think that it's more like a question to like some people who write about the history of film or film critics or something. But I think that the main difference between us and our colleagues, more experienced colleagues who started like some time ago, the basic difference is that I think it's easier for us in some way because the times are different. It's like, I don't know what is it. It's like a fashion or like a more like, I hope, deeper change of our times that finally women start to be seen and heard by decision makers, if you want, who are very often men. So I think that it's easier in a way that finally we are seen and we are heard, and we have finally chance to do something. Basically, we are getting more money. We are getting money. So it's not only in Europe, but also I think the States something is changing. So I think this is the main difference, that times are changing, and I think we are like starting a little bit in some way better moment.
Yes, exactly, because it's changed very much the film business also, and I think women are more present now in this section. What do you think, Hanna Polak?
I am also thinking that this is absolutely amazing that those 3 mentioned achieved such a great international success. So for me, this is like a role model to follow, that things are possible. Because of course, Agnieszka Holland obviously is such a strong director, is absolutely, but all of them, and of course Szumowska, Małgosia, this is like a really, also Magdalena Łazarkiewicz, but also there is quite a few other women who have been making their way through the world cinema, not just Polish cinema. So this is really amazing for me to see it. You ask about the inspiration also. I have to mention, for me, the great inspiration, absolutely great inspiration, is Vadim Yusov, who is one of the people who was my teacher, my direct teacher, but he was a cameraman, the DOP of Andrei Tarkovsky, for this greatest cinema in the world, the treasure of the world cinema. So for me, this is like an amazing journey, because on one way, of course, we women, and I get a lot of inspiration. I mean, it's beautiful projects from my fellow filmmakers. And I was this year and last year, I was an expert for the Polish documentary for production, for funding. And also I have to say that this was also an amazing journey to see some of those amazing projects which are about to come. So there is much more strong movies which will be made. I think what is easier right now is this, as we have Europe, that we have kind of like more international. It's easier for us to go and find a co-production internationally, travel, speak language, which was a very difficult or impossible during this communistic times. And saying this, I'm also thinking how fragile what we have achieved is, and maybe destroyed in a split of a second, basically, with all these movements of withdrawal from this kind of community of the European Union and even the world community. This is why I am looking with such a discontent how politicians are trying to use any ideas to basically use for their own benefit even our work. Or, you know, we have the big scene right now going on with the vaccination in Poland, where some of the artists were vaccinated, and this also fuels a hatred against the people from art, against some of the, like Janda, for example, who is such an amazing and accomplished, strong boss, director, but most of us, of all actor, who for me represents this old generation of the women who made such a strong footprint in our culture, in our life, in our even freedom, because of course those films were, I don't know, they were so important for turning this dark page of communism away from the country. So I think this is what is amazing, that we can see this freedom of this thought, of these ideas, and the strong women. And I think this is something to look for, instead of closing our consciousness in this little world of fear, of isolation, and basically allowing to take away what we have already achieved. So I think, this is what very important, what also was already said here, that the strong women voice is so important, and for all of us as artists, but also as humans, simply as people, as fellow citizens, as fellow artists, as fellow human, to see how you can basically be free, how you can knock down those barriers, which are of the profession, of thoughts. So I don't know, I think this is something which is really, for me, coming out of those great filmmakers.
Yes, it's true. It's very true what you said, all of you. And as a last question, I wanted to maybe the last question. I don't know. I think we have still 10 minutes to discuss. I wanted to point out that among four of them, three of you are film documentarists. So documentary is very important always was very important in Polish cinematography. And how much is important for you this connection to the documentary, to the reality, and why? What does it mean for you to make documentary film? To be inspired by documentaries. I'm also asking even to Jagoda Szec, who is the only one who is not a documentarist in the right terms, in the proper terms. But who knows? Maybe every film director is at the end a documentarist, taking into consideration that also art is life. Then, why are you so attracted? Why Polish cinema is so attracted by documentaries? Do you think it's because you want to change reality through art, or because reality is much more inspiring than art itself? Jagoda, maybe you start as the non-documentarist.
I actually did few documentaries, short ones, and I made one of them, and because of it, I met Hanna Polak in Toronto. So I don't know if she remembers that, but we spoke for a few minutes there. So I would say, if you say reality, I would say I don't know what it is. I have this massive problem with this definition of the word reality. Everybody has a different one, and it means so much different things. If you think about it, definitions of the simple words are the most difficult. If you think mother or freedom, for example, a freedom is a very good example because it can mean either like you are following your path as a slave, or it is one of the definition, and there are so many different. But I would say, yes, it's very true what you said. In the end, we make documentaries, even if we make a fiction films, because what we are trying to do is actually embody our reality by films. So it doesn't matter how you name it. That's one thing. And the second thing is, now if you think about, let's say, genres, yes, genre. For example, the big streaming platforms, they do change genre. If you choose and watch documentaries all the time, my film would be proposed as a drama. But if someone else would watch only thrillers, my film would be proposed as a thriller. So then there is a question about that the genre is changing. So if it is simple to actually also think in a way about documentaries and fictions. How do you define that something is documentary, and how do you define that something is fiction? It is very, very difficult. But while you were saying about people who are our authorities, yes, someone that we think are great, I was just watching, and this woman I think everybody can recognize. Sorry, I'm trying to find an angle.
Yes.
Yes, so she was a filmmaker who was doing both, and she is, I think, one of the most influential people for me, also because she was extremely humble and because she was extremely gentle. And you have to be gentle in both. In documentary, you have to be gentle because you have to think about the structure, but you have to be gentle in fiction because you constantly have to think about releasing people from the chains of the storyline, yes, in a way. So.
Yes, she was gentle and full, which is very important.
I love her.
Me too. I think everybody loves her. Anna Jadowska.
So, personally, I really like to watch documentaries. I'm not such an experienced documentary filmmaker, but a few years ago, around 7, something like that, I've made a documentary called Free Women. We were observed with a cinematographer, 3 different persons in Łódź. This is the city where film school is. It's quite close to Warsaw, but the city, the center is really strange, destroyed, full of unemployed people. And we were observed these 3 women, teenager, young mother, and woman around 80 years old. We were observed them around 2 years, and it was really huge experience and very strong, because I have not only the lessons of life, but also the lessons of filmmaking, how to build a scene, where to put the climax of the scene. And this shooting was full of strange situation, full of surprises, turning points, which I didn't plan. So it was the most amazing film for me. And also it's the only one film which I could really watch with the audience, because with my future projects, it's impossible for me to sit in the cinema and watch with audience. And this one I really like, and I believe that for me the reality is, as you said, the strongest inspiration. And I believe that life is really, I don't know, the most important subject to observe, to be in the middle of scenes. I need to, when I'm working on the feature project, I need to walk around, to see some places, to visit the people, because always behind my feature projects is some place, or real place, or real person, or real character. So I need the inspiration from reality. I cannot build everything from my own imagination. So I'm a really curious person, and I think I'm a good observer. That's why for me the documentaries are really important. And I don't know why in Poland the school of documentary is so strong, but I believe that somehow we are really connected in our lives, especially in Poland. We are living the life of our neighbors. We are really curious, watching them, telling some gossips about them. So we are deeply connected. That's why it's so important, to know everything about people in your village, or people on your street. That's why documentaries are so strong and meaningful, I think.
Yes, you're right. That's why I've heard very much in Poland many years ago this definition of Polish people like Neapolitans of the North, which
Yes.
I think it's really very.
But this is also the theory that the gossip was the beginning of the language. So
Yeah.
I think it's really strong bond between people.
Yes. And what do you think, Anna Zamecka? Even if you are isolated in the wild nature, I think you are very much connected with life too, no?
Yes, now I'm trying to reconnect with the nature, first of all, but I like to observe, and I'm documentary filmmaker, but I actually mostly watch fiction films, and I think that many filmmakers say that for documentary filmmakers, it's good to watch. They should watch fiction, and fiction filmmakers should watch documentaries. I know about that. Kieślowski, who was for many years, he started as a documentary filmmaker. So I think he was shooting documentaries for 10 years. He said that films, documentaries or fiction cannot change reality, but if they provoke or open a discussion, it's already a lot. And that's something that I think about what he said. And no matter it's a documentary film or fiction film, I think that's the first thing that if art should, but probably Jagoda won't agree with me that it shouldn't, do something that should like provoke at least like, you know, to inspire, like to think, or to open some kind of discussion, to make people even maybe upset, like to evoke some kind of emotions. And I think it's both for a documentary and fiction, it's exactly the same. And because in the end, and after all, it's just a tool. And again, these definitions of documentary and fiction film, and especially now, I think are very blurred. And as much I wouldn't like to, you know, distinguish between a female or male cinema, this is not interesting to me. And same, it's not interesting to me to kind of like think what's documentary or fiction. Doesn't really matter. I mean, film is film, it's art, and as long as it works and provoke and inspire, I think it's enough.
Oh, yes. At the end, last but not least, Hanna Polak.
I have to say that I always think that documentary is one, if not the most difficult type of art, because really you are not in control. I mean, in a way you are in control because you have your camera and you know where to turn it, or you try to know where to turn it, but there is so many things which you have to solve on the way to make a consistent story, which would be really like also piece of art. I think this documentaries take a lot of time. They are not paid well, as we know, in most cases. And usually it takes few years to make a good film. Of course, it happens. Sometimes you make something quick and short and it can be still good. But in most cases, because we are observing life, as Anya said, we actually, as all the ladies said, we basically need time to do it. We need time with our protagonists. We need time to see how if this is really like an observational movie, if this is not a creation, then we really need time for a change of the character coming to some point. I mean, it's so many things which you are struggle with in this matter. And of course, at the time when you come to the editing, is the most difficult time, because really you have like puzzles, like millions and millions of small pieces which you have to put together. And nowadays also we are not shooting 1 to 3, but we shoot 1 to 500, or I don't know. I mean, there is an enormous possibility to record with the cameras and hard drives. And this is good because we got a lot of materials, but at the same time, there is a lot of time which needs to be spent in the editing room. So taking all of this, I think this is really, really big challenge. I think it's a different challenge when you are in the fiction film, in the feature film, because of course you're dealing with usually bigger crew, oftentimes with bigger funding, bigger expectation for a successful film in the cinemas, box office counts and all of this. I mean, we still have support from the government, but at the same time, if we enter this kind of cinemas, I think the challenges are a little bit different. But like I say, in the documentary, I feel this is very, very challenging. And I'm sometimes thinking, why am I doing this, because this is just sometimes too difficult, and perhaps because I'm such an idealist, maybe naive, that the world can be changed, that this voice may be important, that the situation of certain people group has to be shown and exposed, and things must be changed about it, and you cannot somehow stay indifferent to people suffering, to people situation in life. So you kind of encounter on this journey, and it's a very difficult journey. I mean, we all know Jagoda I actually mentioned Kieślowski, who we know that he resigned from doing feature films, documentaries, because of the situation which he had, that he basically broke somebody's life. And to be honest with you, even many years after, I remember I was in the Film Polski, the institution which was before Polish Film Institute, and I remember even so many years after death of Kieślowski, there was the main protagonist of the film still suing the people who were owning the rights for this documentary. So I have to tell you, this is a very, very difficult task, because people can change in a split of a second and not want to be in your film, and this can happen. So in a way, I'm feeling that we are dealing with a very, like something you watch on the screen, you watch for 1 hour, but if you look how much work usually has to be done, like the current film I'm working on is more than 4 years. The previous film was 14 years, of course, on and off, but at the same time, you can understand this is such an endeavor, and you all know, with the fiction film, it also takes time, but I think because there is like a usually bigger crew working on it, because you're working already pre-written script or written script and all of this, I think the specifics of the work are in terms different. So yes, the reality we try to create, and we try to capture, and we try to inspire from each other, from the different genres. Sometimes I need to watch a good film to get this inspiration. Sometimes I need music, actually all these different tools which you have for creativity. But on the end of the day, it is such a challenge to make something like really outstanding, like really, because even if you talk about the human, you can have a women's subject, or you can have a film about some victims of situation or whatever of society, but you try to do it, to represent it with the greatest care in your heart, to make it like a really art. So you kind of facing these different challenges, but because you try to change the world, but you try to change it in the most artistic, artful way, to not only be just a film about the subject, but just to be piece of art, really, like, I don't know, I went to see, I remember Hubert Sauper film before Epicentro, I think it was We Come as Friends, and I remember I was completely taken. I was thinking, my God, this is the piece of art. I don't care if this wins this or other award. Many of these awards are becoming like more and more political. We know it's how difficult it is to achieve them, but at the same time, when you come to the cinema and you are completely humbled by somebody's work, vision, beauty of capture things, humanity, the little moments, the vision, I think this is the most important, and I see all of your respective work, which I am familiar with also. This is like really, I thank you for this amazing movies and experience, because this is such a beautiful moment in our life, such treasure for our, for life, for digestion, for heart, for mind, for spirituality, for everything. So thank you for this, and we need more.
No, Hannah, very much thank you for these words, and I thank you all for girls for sharing with us your feelings, your ideas, and your strength, because this was very important and very nice meeting, I think, because you are spread all the world. Two of you are in Poland, another one is in Africa, another in US, and this is like, the power you have of your ideas, of your creation, is going through your films all over the world. And I think we need this. This is what we need. We need the girl power. I think we need the power of artists, of true creators. So thank you very much for your...
If I can add one thing, which is I feel very, very important, is about this, that I think we would like to take the festival because we need platform, we need the places where the film will be seen, and this all. I mean, we can as artists do as much as we can, but if there is now this great platforms, this great audience which you create, which we now online as we have. So this is something which is also very important, that there is this huge amount of people like you, people who know about the art, about the cinema, and about everything, which are allowing the post-production people. I mean, there is so many people who contribute to this success, you know, to this, on the end of the day, that this product is delivered. This movie on the end, you know, is delivered to the audience, and this is the most beautiful meeting. And for this, we can be just very, very thankful to you, to the film festival, to the people who create these platforms for reaching the audiences. So this is also something to mention. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you, and I thank you also the festival, the Trieste Film Festival, for having given to me this occasion for meeting you and to have and share feelings and ideas and thoughts. And so I wish you all the best for your project and for your career. And I don't see really very much. I'm anxious to see your next film movie very soon. Hopefully in cinemas, in theaters. Okay, thank you very much, and have a nice day or evening or night, wherever you are, and thank you once more. Goodbye.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, girl. Thanks.